Hello, everybody. Welcome to Survivor Buffs, Blindsides, and Banter podcast. This is the podcast made by superfans with superfans for superfans. I'm your host, Buckles, and with me I've got my mate, Mac. Mac, how you doing?
Buckles, my man. I'm doing okay. I'm a little bit tired. I'm hungry. And not just because Liz is hungry, but I'm tired as well because it's late at night. We've waited till Monday to get this podcast done. Had a few issues trying to schedule in with our guests, as well as yourself and me. We've all been busy. And, it's 9:30 on a Monday. And, 9:30 might not seem late to many, but to me, this is well past my bedtime. I mean, I'm not a night owl at all. So if I do fall asleep in this podcast, I apologize in advance.
No, that's completely fine, mate. Give me a 4 a.m. podcast any day of this 9:30 shit. This is 2 hours past my bedtime. I would well and truly be heavily asleep by now. But it's all worth it because we have the man, the myth, the legend. We have JT, Deception Island. Yeehaw. How you doing, JT?
I'm going good, Buckles. How are you going tonight, mate?
I'm doing great, mate. Greater to see your face.
Thank you very much. How are you, Mac?
Oh, JT, I'm loving it. I'm loving what you're giving us on Deception Island. I think, you're a bit of a fan favorite amongst the viewing lounge, and you've built a bit of a cult following. So I'm loving you at the moment, John Tan.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much. But yeah, unfortunately, I did get booted last week. So, yep, show's over now. But, well, not over, but it's over for me now.
Hey, dude, we still get to see you on the jury. This is,
yes,
we got a question coming from you, and I'm sure it's going to be a fun question.
Maybe it will be. Maybe it won't.
Anyway, mate.
To find out.
Anyway, mate, it's not about you tonight. Tonight, it's about season 46. Okay, what are your feelings on the season so far? And start getting us into this episode.
Yeah, so just a bit of recap last week's episode and the season overall. I'll be honest with you, the season it's had a bit of ups and downs for me, in my opinion, when watching it like from the first episode till now. There was a bit of like a few things that were probably like disappointing me, and then some of the players just like so I wouldn't say like I hate anyone or anything. That there's some that I'm not like 100% drawn to, but there are a few good players. I mean, there's a couple players I do like. There's a couple of players that I cringe watching or get a little bit annoyed with, but like some are still entertaining. If that makes sense.
I think we all know who possibly those cringe players are, but at least tell us who are your favorite player this season. Who's really sticking out to you?
Well, I really like Charlie. I think Charlie is kind of playing a good game. I would actually like for him to win.
Yeah, no, I don't blame you, mate. He would be a great winner for this new era. We definitely love to have someone like Charlie. Mac, I need you back here, mate. What happened this episode? This was the Lizzie Q show. This was Liz and Q, and yet they still didn't even make the move themselves. Like this whole episode was about that.
I think Liz is sort of the voice of the people at the moment. I mean, a lot of people don't like Q. Personally, I love Q, but I think the outburst we saw from Liz at the challenge was sort of everyone at home who's had enough of Q and his antics, and a lot of the players I think are on board with this as well. So whilst it was a little bit cringy, would you say, the way it came across, a little bit hangry perhaps, maybe she needs a Snickers bar. Probably couldn't eat it because she's allergic, but it was really a little bit hard to watch for me. How'd you guys take it?
JT?
Oh yeah, that one like where Liz didn't get chosen on the reward. Yeah, look, I'll be honest with you, I do empathize with her. Like I don't blame her for feeling that way because I mean, like you can put yourself in her shoes. You've been like not starving for days. I mean, if you haven't been eating properly for days while you're on that island, and you just really, really want to win a reward so bad, so you can have that. I don't blame you if you're like hurt by it. But I think like at the same time, you also got to understand on a maturity level, like you can't hold a grudge against Q or lose your shit at Q over that because at the end of the day, Q had to do something for his game. And at the end of the day, he worked hard enough to kind of like win that reward challenge. Like he earned it, she didn't. So it was up for him who to choose. And then I think when Q did own her in the end, like saying, hey, but you did this to me last tribal, da da da. I mean, to be fair, it's like you can't have an expectation of someone to do something nice for you when you haven't done anything good for them. You know what I mean?
No, look, JT, I completely agree with that. I see this in a very interesting view. I see this as I actually almost want to bring this to Alex from Titans versus Rebels. On his way out, he has a bit of a go at Kirby, and he's
Yeah.
pretty much drawing dead. The frustration's there. People are telling him that he's got a plan, but he knows that there's no plan. And he gets a little bit aggressive at tribal council, gets a little bit loud, and it comes out of him. And you've got to think that's on the back of 30-something days of limited food, limited sleep, and things come out of you, emotions come out of you that you wouldn't normally bring out. Like it doesn't just come out of you on a day-to-day basis because you're 100%, you're feeling 100%, you're healthy. Liz, in this new era of Survivor where there's very limited food anyway, and she's allergic to so much of it and can't eat so much of it, not to mention then you've got the sleep deprivation, you've got the mental fuckery that is the game of Survivor that we all love. It came out. And it probably had to come out. She needed to get that out because she had so many feelings about what happened and not being picked for this reward. Now, she shouldn't have been picked for this reward. If Q did pick her for this reward, he's, first of all, drawing dead because they were never going to work together anyway.
Yep.
Like, he did the right thing. So we can see it from both sides. But you've got to think, like, she is also, in her mind, not that I'm saying this is a good way to play Survivor, but in her mind, she wants to be the big player. She wants to prove to her daughter in the future, when her daughter goes back and watches this, she wants her daughter to see her make big moves. And let's be serious, last week, she was left out of the vote completely. After a week where realistically it was her move, but it was overshadowed by Q's attempted quit crap. So, like, these emotions just come out of you. And I'm not saying it's right to have a bit of a hissy fit, because, like, I'm not going to beat around the bush. That's sort of what it was. But we also don't know, unless we're in that position, how we'd react. Like, things come up from your childhood, things come up, all these emotions come up. And I'm just glad it was the little chick over there that had the hissy fit and not one of the big dudes, because then that'd be horrible TV.
Yeah. I want to touch back to what you said about Alex and Kirby, and I think that's to me. There's a marked difference. I think when Alex was doing it, there was an intentional plan there to put a target on Kirby to raise her threat level, to sort of show everyone she's in charge, to get her voted out. Whereas I don't think Liz was doing this to make you a target or to do anything in that sort of sense. I think it was literally just an emotional response to not getting picked, which is fine because that's a human being response. But I think, like, it's fine to be angry, but the thing she said, I think, was a bit out of line. To say, Q, you blown up my whole game. Like, you have to pick me, and all these things. I'm like, you literally just voted for this man. He owes you nothing. You come across as entitled. To say he blew up your spot because you made a move and he took over the tribal council, that's so. I think it's gone too far, and I just think, like, it was obviously super emotional. She wasn't really thinking about it. She talks about her daughter and this emotional connection she had, and whilst you might have mentioned it before the challenge, like, no one is in your world and no one understands that connection you have with your daughter. You know, you're a single parent. It probably is not that clear to everyone that this is what you guys do every week. It's a full bonding moment, and, like, it would be so special for you to have this Applebee's reward, because I don't think it was that clear. So I think Q owes her nothing. I think it was fine that he didn't pick her. And apparently, I've heard in Tiffany's exit interview that both Maria and Kenzie tried to give their award to Liz, and Q said, "No, you cannot." So he really went over the top with it. But you know what? Credit to him. I think it was fine.
Well, no, but and we'll bring this back to a completely logical, completely social aspect. If he feels like there is no working with Liz, then why would he bring her on the reward? Why would he let someone give up their spot that he wants, that he might be able to work with, he might be able to make a plan with? Why would he let someone give up their spot so then she can come and ruin his reward that he's just successfully won?
Yeah.
Like, it makes complete sense from Q's side as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think like with that situation, as you guys just said, it was just the emotional response. Like in the end, she apologized. Like,
Yeah.
and Jeff said, "Hey, you've got nothing to be sorry for. We totally understand why you're like that." I think a part of her probably realized in the end, like she sounded a bit stupid, but I think she also just felt like, I don't care. I've kept this inside me for long. I just really wanted the food so bad. My whole game is just fucked up. I just need some nice food in my belly to make myself feel better. So I just think I need to like just let it all out, just so I can feel a bit better. She said she felt better afterwards. After when she let it out, she let it go. She dropped it. She didn't cause any more drama after that. But I guess like probably wasn't the best idea, but I understand because I think all of us could potentially do that at some stage if we were in a similar situation.
Yeah.
So, but I think she at least I think she owns that she
Yeah.
probably didn't do the right thing doing that.
She definitely did. Now I want to bring up some names to you guys. So I want to bring up Owen. I want to bring up Jake, and I want to bring up what was his name? Romeo.
Are these past Survivor players?
These are past Survivor players.
Right.
Okay. So I want to bring these players up. Now, these guys ended up going to the final 3 with no hope of winning the game. Okay.
Yeah.
Romeo, some could arguably say, was dominating his tribe till merge, and then turned up in merge and for some reason just started drawing dead. This frustration gets to you. This frustration gets to you. We saw Owen and Jake and how emotional they were getting in some of their confessionals. Now, this is the exact same emotion that to a point that Liz is feeling. She has really tried some big stuff. She's tried to be a big player, and rightly 2 weeks ago, that was her move. I'm pretty sure most people gave her credit. We still didn't agree that the Tevin move was the right move, but we gave her credit for the move. It was just overshadowed by the Q quitting. And that is it's just been a stacking on top of each other. It's just been a stacking. Now, talking about Liz and her strategy, let's get off this little reward challenge for a second. And let's talk about the strategy of this episode. This went very, very well. We have not seen an idol played this season. All 3 camp idols had the player that found it voted out with it in their pocket.
Yeah.
This is a very interesting season.
Very shocked by that with it. Yeah, Tiffany, I did not expect her to fall for it, especially since I think it was last episode too. Like or like the episode before, she was already kind of like warned that Q was trying to throw her,
go for it,
and throw her under the bus. So like, I was expecting her to like at least play an idol just to even just play safe, and then I just can't believe it really worked. And then Tiffany, she wasn't too bad of a player. Like I'll say, like from the beginning, she was like I think she was okay. Like I didn't mind her, and I think I think how she handled a lot of rough situations early on and the way she did talk to people, even though she had a bit of bluntness and aggressiveness, I think she did it more like a mature way to. I think instead of rubbing people the wrong way, it made people like understand her. I don't think she was ever necessarily like fake with anyone, if that makes sense. So if we could talk a couple episodes back, I think remember like how with bloody Banu, how he was having an emotional breakdown. She bluntly said to Banu, "Look, no, I'm not going to talk to you like that. If you're going to get on your knees, I want you to get up and stand up and face me like a man, and don't beg me on your knees looking sad." And then she bluntly just said, "Look, I don't think I can work with you because after everything you've done, I'm sorry. And at least you can respect me." At least she was blunt like that. I mean, while Kenzie, who I think is also a pretty good player too, I think Kenzie, like, I don't think she let Banu get to her by feeling sorry for him, but I think, she kind of like just kind of carried Banu on so Banu would stop crying and stuff like that, despite she knows she's going to hurt him. And same, I think Q did the same thing too. I think like Tiffany, she was more like, I don't know, she was, for me, I felt like she was more like tough, which I respect.
She was tough and upfront, and you knew who she was. Yeah.
I'll tell you, I love this talk about Banu because I mean, who doesn't want to talk about Banu all night? I could talk about it for hours.
I'm gonna fuck off for a second
Yeah,
because
well,
now that this name's
we'll
been
leave
brought
Banu
up.
alone for now.
But let's get back to, I guess, yeah, Tiff and the idol. Like Buckle said, 3 idols found, 3 idols gone home without being played. And I mean, I've said it many times in this podcast before. You know, don't hoard idols. Play the idols. Play them and find another one. But I do think in this situation, I think Tiff, she was sort of like, I think she was genuinely blindsided. Like she wasn't going to be a target. However,
She was blindsided.
Yeah, but I think after last week's episode, using Q as his smokescreen, as Jeff calls it, to get Hunter out, like it seemed like it was just going to be the same thing again. And to not see that, I guess, is detrimental to Tiff. Obviously, she goes home, but like, should she have realized that Q would be a smokescreen again? Was Q too obvious to vote out? Do we blame Tiff too much for not playing the idol? What do you think, Bucks?
Yes, I think this isn't just a 1 week plan, like a 1 night plan. This is like there's been 3 days that this plan's been cooking. Kenzie brings this plan up before the Hunter vote, and so there's definitely been talk about this plan. I feel like Tiff has read it wrong. Now, let's be serious. The Survivor players in this day and age are so fucking hard to read. Let's be serious. Almost every single vote out is a blindside. So I'm not saying that I could go on there and read them. I'm just saying like this plan was going for 3 days. Q brought it up even before that to a certain extent. So then her name is out there and it's going to come up. Is it her fault for not seeing it? No, they probably didn't speak in front of her. But at the same time, I guess she just got that little bit too complacent. And having an idol, she talked about it herself last week. She has to play the idol. This has put a target on her back. This is like she needs to get rid of it so then she can come back to even with the players. She got away with it last week. She got that implicit immunity last week. Why not play it this week? That is the optimal move for Survivor. And I know that's why we hate the new era of Survivors because everyone's playing the optimal move. But the best episodes are when they don't. And Tiffany didn't. She didn't play her idol. She didn't play the optimal move.
No, I just before you jump in there, John, we spoke about it last week about how we should go for players with idols because we have a genuine backup in Q who will catch votes. We shouldn't be scared of idols right now because Q will always receive votes, so it can't bounce back on, say, Charlie or Maria. So, yeah, I agree. I think the right thing was to go for Tiff because if idol is played, Q will go home. So, Tiff, as you said, she buffed it last week. She probably should have read, it's probably just get rid of it now because they might come after me, knowing that Q is an easy backup. So, yeah, I'll probably change my mind there. I think maybe it was a big mistake there.
Yeah, I think it was a mistake of Tiff to not play the idol. I mean, like, as in regards to what you guys said, I totally agree. But I also think, like, I think some people, like, who want Q out, I don't think from what I've seen, they're not really trying hard to push for Q out, but they just want his name to come up in trouble because I think after what Q did, like, tried to quit, and then obviously that plan backfired on him as well, like that, they didn't end up, like, buying it. I don't think Q has a chance of winning this season, to be honest. I think,
that's the biggest hot take of the year, John.
Well, I think it's my opinion.
No, we agree with you.
But I can't.
I might not agree. I don't agree.
Okay, you don't agree. You don't agree. I'm interested to hear Mac's speech now. Okay, you don't agree. Could Q
if you want to have a
discussion?
discussion,
let's have this discussion. Could Q win this season?
Why? Give me a final 3 of Venus, Q, and Liz, and you tell me that Q doesn't win that.
I think Liz.
I still think Q doesn't win that. Are you seeing the hatred in everyone? Yeah. Ben, Tiff, Kenzie. There is like Liz. Like look at what we had. Not to mention Venus. Like these are. There's so that's 5 out of the final 11. Okay, yes, 2 of them are on the jury with him, but that much hatred behind him, that's pretty powerful.
Here's the thing: if he can articulate a game that says, "Hey,
he can, I reckon.
if that's exactly right. I think he's aware of how he comes across, and if he can tell the jury, like, I've done this intentionally, I've put myself out there as this shield for everyone, as this distraction for everyone to vote out whoever they want, which worked with Hunter with an idol, Tiff with an idol, and it might happen again with another idol, who knows? But if he's continually the target and they keep getting someone else out, that's great for everyone's game. If he can say I was used this way on purpose, and he's sitting next to Liz, who's now had this emotional outburst, who's seen as this player who can't get really any traction, and Venus, who no one respects, I see a winning game for Q. Do I think he's going to win? Probably not, but I don't think it's impossible.
Well, I think he's already burnt bridges with Kenzie and Tiffany, Mac, if I'm going to be honest with you, and I can't see them voting for him anymore. Like, they could vote for him over Venus if Venus sits next to her, but I also have a gut feeling like he's pissed them off so much and he betrayed them way too early. I think they'd vote for anyone over him, not just because they're bitter towards him, but I think they just think like what he's done was probably the most idiotic thing ever. That's just my opinion, but I don't really know.
Look, I'm going to run with this, Mac. I'm running with this. Okay.
Run with me, Doug.
I really love what you said there. I really like that was a good argument. That was a very, very good argument. Now, I'm thinking on the jury, we got a Hunter, we got a Tevin. Now, Hunter and Tevin didn't actually go out of the game completely hating Q. Okay? Who else goes out of the game without hating Q? Do you see Maria voting for a Q?
Well, they're working together. They're allies.
Yeah, they're allies. They're allies, but like she is also like quite a like just her personality. I don't see her voting that way. Whereas a Charlie, maybe he could swing that. Like maybe he'd respect the gameplay that Q's done. Now, Q only wins in this scenario, is what I'm saying. Yeah. It's going to be Q, Kenzie, and Q, Venus, and Liz. Okay, now let's be serious. Venus lost her power before the merge. As soon as she hit merge, no one had the respect that she had for Venus. Liz seem to have some sort of respect. This week, I'm interested to know, in this day and age, what happened tonight isn't hated by most people. I'd say 20 years ago, it would have been, and she would have lost the game on that. I'm not 100% sure that this is the nail in the coffin for Liz. And if Liz can articulate the Tevin move, and it ends up being the right move for her game to win. If she can articulate that she was the swing vote at the Tiffany move, I feel like Liz still has an opportunity here. And she is going to pick up those bitter votes, those Tiffany, those Kenzie votes that Ben's calling Q a bully. He's calling him like everything under the sun. Ben really does not like Q. He just knows strategically Q is not the right option.
Yeah.
So I like what you said, Mac. I just don't completely agree that Liz absolutely sunk a game tonight.
No, I don't. I think Liz is still
in that scenario. Okay, this is one final 3 out of the final 7.
I think people empathize. I think people empathize with Liz a lot. Like, I think it's very understandable why she blew up. I think having all these allergies, like everyone knows going to the game, you're not going to get any special treatment just because you have allergies, but still you might get sympathy for having these allergies and not being able to eat anything. So I do think people understand that and they won't mark her down for it, especially because it was against Q, a sort of like a person that everyone hates already. So It's not like she's having a go at, Bambi or anything. This is Q. We don't like him already. So it's fine.
She's having a go at the big bad wolf.
And honestly, I don't think Liz is that bad. Like, she hasn't done anything too bad or like made too many mess ups, if that makes sense. Like, she's probably made a bit of mistakes, but I don't think she has that much blood on her hands compared to other people. So for me, I think she's a little bit okay.
I want to jump in with you with what you said there, JT. Genuinely, I actually think you're right. Let's be serious. Think about all of the stuff that we've heard from Liz this entire season. It's come out in her confessionals. Other than at the start of the season where she sort of had a bit of a gloat about being rich and she gets to pick her man sort of thing. Other than that, the only sort of venomous stuff that we've heard from Liz has come out in the confessionals. And it was just this episode where it just boiled over and came out in the game. So this one little outburst, does that completely sink a game? I don't think so. I think we've seen some good stuff. I think she's respected to a certain extent. And that's Maria went to her tonight knowing how much she hated Q. And Maria obviously felt that she was more logical than Venus. And went to Liz and was like, Liz, I know you need Q out, but let's be serious. This is our one opportunity, and you're the point. You're the point of call. And Liz was able to make that association with it. She was able to make the right decision and get Tiff out with the idol.
Do you think that was the right call for Liz, especially if we stick with Liz? Do you think if Tiff doesn't have the idol, does she still make the same decision, or is the idol the kicker that gets over the line? Do you think?
I think the idol at the final 7 is just too scary.
Yeah,
it's too scary in this day and age.
If Tiff didn't have an idol, her name would not have came up, because I think they would have seen someone as they could see Tiffany as someone they could logically move forward with, because Tiffany's a kind of logical, if that makes sense, when you communicate with her.
Mac, we've talked about in seasons past, even before we started the podcast, we talked about this. We talked about how idols in the new era pretty much give you a one-way ticket to the end. You can, if you play it correctly, you pretty much get to the end, because this is such a fast-paced game that idols scared the absolute shit out of everyone, even though they were literally saying phrases at immunity challenges.
Yeah.
Everyone knew that they had an idol. They still didn't have to play it for ages until they got either blindsided or Xander got all the way to the end. Things we've seen so much in the new era that idols just are almost a one-way ticket. Okay, don't get me wrong, it's a dodgy one-way ticket, but it's a one-way ticket. And now we've finally gotten to this part of the new era where they're like, fuck you. These idols are dangerous. Too many people get to the end with idols. It's time to come down on them, get them out early. Blindside them, and that's what they've done this season, and it's been really, really fun. I think this was the right move completely by everyone.
Can we let's touch on that? I think this episode was a little bit strategy light, so we have a bit of time to talk about something. Let's talk big picture meta game.
Yeah,
idols in the new era or before this season, were they such a big thing because of the 26-day game? Air tribal sort of every day or every second day. Is there not enough time to get a proper split vote in place, so we can't split properly to flush an idol? Whereas in this season, having Q there, I really think having this person that is going to cop votes, we can still target idols. That's my belief. Do you think just having the short time in between tribals is just too hard to get a plan together? Is that why Is that why idols are so dangerous in the new era?
We are hearing a lot from these players coming out of the game that it's like the last plan's the plan that works. Because it's so fast. It's so fast paced in this new era that it is hard to get a plan with people that, as we've said, as you say a lot, play the optimal move. Everyone wants to play the optimal move. Everyone has the option to play the optimal move, and they're good enough to play it. It's hard to get a plan together and trust that the plan's actually going to succeed without say, falling to a backup later in the day.
JT, you got any thoughts on this?
No, look, I think with what you guys said, with the idols, look, you're right. It does come a bit dangerous. It can be. I think to today's generation of Survivor, it does become a much dangerous thing, and especially if you do play it correctly once, I think you could potentially become a target forever, or just for a long time, because people would be like, "Oh, he or she played their idol correctly." They're going to be hard to get booted. They know when stuff are coming for them. We got to stop them, blah, blah, blah. And then, but then sometimes you can have days you're only lucky that once with that idol, whether you played it correctly or not. And then after that, you'll never get that luck again, the next vote. Yeah. But I think I think idol is a good thing to have. I think any advantage that you end up getting if you're on Survivor, and especially if you do use it correctly, or whether it's for yourself or for someone else you want to save, I think you've shown something good on your resume to show why you're kind of worthy. You've done something right in the game so far.
Yeah, it's the easiest way for people to see a move, because I think using something like it's visible, tangible. You can hold it in your hand, say, I'm doing this, I'm playing this for this reason. And yeah, people make good moves with numbers and getting votes here and there, but when you can actually physically see it at tribal council, when you're the jury sitting there, it's a massive boost to your resume for sure.
Yeah,
Definitely. No, like that's very well said between the two of you. Right there is, if you play an idol, that is your move. That is on you. That is you've done something. You play an advantage that's on you and you only. Whereas in this game, we saw it for the soda vote out. Venus takes credit, then Tevin takes credit, then we've got Liz in her confessionals taking credit. No one can really take 100% of the credit because it needs multiple people to make a move. Whereas if you play an advantage properly, that is your move. And that is such a huge thing in this era. Look, I've got two tangents we could run off from there. I want to talk about Liz and some of the things she could have done. Now, I don't know if anyone listened to the know-it-alls, but Rob went down something that I thought about, and that was Liz calling out to Tiff at Tribal Council when she's asked to play her idol. Liz saying, Tiff, why don't you play your idol? Okay? These people are voting for you. Why don't you play your idol? Now, is this the right move? Hell the fuck no. She gets voted out probably next Tribal Council. But that literally gives her everything that she wanted. She wanted the big move on her resume. She wanted that big, fantastic thing where everything was on her, and that would have been on her. I want to talk about the optimal move of this episode was actually probably getting Q out for a lot of people and Tiff's idol at the same time. Should Liz have had a whisper to Tiff? Now, I'm not saying Tiff would have been the best person to whisper to because we all know Tiff can be quite a loud person. But Liz maybe whispering to Tiff before Tribal Council, okay, these people are voting for you. It's going to be a 4-4 split. You need to play your idol. I don't know if they've got someone else on board. You need to play your idol. Tiff plays her idol, stays in the game. Also now has a new relationship with Liz because Liz has just saved her. It's not the biggest move in the game. Like, people don't see it as the biggest move. They think Tiff's just saved herself unless Tiff goes and blows up her spot. Could this have possibly been a good move? What are your thoughts, boys?
Look, I think it would have been more of I think it would have been a good move for Tiff because it helps her survive.
It helps her stay in the game.
But
that's a great move.
It would have been brilliant. But
I'm talking from Liz's perspective. Is this a good move from Liz's perspective?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. Getting a kick out.
Yeah, it's hard because I mean, if you're Liz and you go to Tiff most likely wouldn't believe you. If someone says play your idol, it generally means you don't need to play your idol. So I don't think they have that relationship where Tiff could trust that. Yeah. So whether she tries or not, would it be good? Okay, let's say she tried it and it worked. Yeah, I guess so, because like you said, Q's not working with Liz. Liz doesn't want to work with Q. So he goes, Tiff's now on your side. You build something. You've got someone now. And then, Tiff, you might get Kenzie with that. You got some footing. She's sort of got Venus. She's got a couple of numbers, but really no one's solid. So if you want to build a bit of a bond with Tiff, that's not a bad strategy. Do I think it would have worked? Probably not.
No, I completely agree. So, in a perfect world, structuring it right, getting to the final Tribal Council saying, actually, this was my move. I told Tiff. That's literally what happened last year when Dee told Julie.
Exactly.
It's literally the same thing. It would have been awesome. Tiff, I feel like, is not the right person to do this with. Tiff, I feel like, is quite a loud person. She'd also probably tell Kenzie, who's her best friend, who's her closest friend. Then all of a sudden, Kenzie's telling Maria and Charlie. Liz is the vote out next time anyway.
Yeah.
Very true.
Also, I think, since they obviously weren't that close, it probably makes a little bit of sense for Tiff to not believe Liz right away, because if you don't have a close relationship with someone in the game compared to other people, why would you not trust that person, especially if they don't talk to you that much, if that makes sense? So
exactly.
I don't think it was that bad.
Yeah.
But I want to just scroll back to what you guys were saying before about Venus takes the credit for that certain move, and then Liz takes the credit, and other people take the credit. If those people make it to the final three, and then they say, I did that certain move, then that other person says, I did this. Who do you think the jury would believe more? Because it's hard to, like, sometimes as I've watched Survivor for a while, sometimes even if you're the first person to say to people in the group saying, I think we should do this, and then they agree with you, you might feel it's your move because you're the first one who brought it up, but other people might feel like it's their move because they say, oh, but I think the same thing as this person, blah, blah, blah. Like, how do you manage to own it's your move? Is it just, you just have to be that likable to the jury, or what's the evidence that you can provide?
No. Okay, look, likability is definitely obviously a thing in any circumstance. But my greatest advice for anyone that's put in this position is you want to own the move and acknowledge your involvement while still acknowledging everyone else's involvement as well, specifically the people on the jury. So you don't, if someone thinks it's their move, you don't want to take the move from them completely. You just want to remind them of how integral you were in what they think their move was, whether it was your move or not. And it's just, that's all about talking. That's all about how you say it at the end. Venus is not going to be able to say that properly. She's going to be like, this is me. I did this. Fuck yeah. Look at me. Bang. And then, whereas Liz has a bit more of a chance of appreciating, just being able to work around that. Q, again, it's all me. It's Q's game. No one else's. Fuck yous all. Whereas a Kenzie would be like, me and Tiff did this the entire game. It was the two of us, not just her, not just me, not just her. I can't take all this credit. And it's all about how you talk. We talk about, well, I want to just flash back to Australia, like Titans versus Rebels. Mark was such a final tribal council threat because of how well he talked. Being a diplomat, that is what you want to be at final tribal council.
I agree.
When everyone's involved in all of your moves.
Yeah, we had this conversation. I think it was like 2 weeks ago on the podcast about who gets credit. How do you define who made the move? Is it the person who wanted to do it first? Is it the person who wanted to do it the longest? Is it the person who gets all the numbers together and makes it happen? So I think when you're sitting in a final tribal council, I really think having someone on the jury to advocate what you're saying and sort of confirm what you're saying is important, because generally the jury has a lot of information that, or certain players have. I know this happened, who did it, what happened, and how it sort of all came to pass. So I think having people on the jury to sort of back up your story is super important. And if you don't have that, if you don't have the respect, if you don't have friends on the jury, it's very hard to just say it at final tribal council, because they sit in Ponderosa for a week or 10 days or whatever, sharing stories. And if they've already heard this story a few times from different people, and then you say it, it's confirmed. It's done. It's your move. If you don't have that, it's so hard to bring it up at the last moment and then actually sway people to vote for you. So I do think, having advocates on the jury is massive.